tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, welcome, guys. It's the Killjoys season finale after show here on AfterBuzz.
How can you be so happy right now?
I'm so happy. This is such a good episode. Welcome. If you have not already, shush and calm down. If you haven't already, go to youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV. Hit subscribe. We're also on iTunes and SoundCloud. I'm also really excited because we will be having Aaron Ashmore talking to us in just a bit, so stick around.
John Jacoby.
Let me introduce my wonderful panel. I'm your host, Yael Tygiel. You can tweet at me during the show at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. And don't forget to use the hashtag ABTV Killjoys. Look at my lovely gentleman.
This is such a good finale, guys.
It was a great finale.
Honestly,
Introduce yourselves.
Hey, you can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux. I am Stephen Lemieux.
Oh.
I'm that Zach Wilson. THATZACHWILSON.
Okay, then let's talk about the show.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's funny because my girlfriend's got me started on Doctor Who, right? And she's telling me about how
We're so happy.
how she loves the one guy who created it. Davies.
Russell
She loves
T.
him so much because
not the
he
creator,
adds in
the showrunner.
Because he adds in little storylines that connect throughout the whole season, and at the end it really comes to fruition.
Yeah.
This show has done that so well, and it just makes me really love this show. Everything from episode 1 till episode 10 has had breadcrumbs sprinkled throughout that they have called back to throughout and delivered on a very satisfying ending to a 10-episode season.
Absolutely.
They've definitely built a mystery to the show. The world building in the show is it's unparalleled. Just because they do it right where it never felt like they were forcing this stuff on us. There was a couple times where you would be like, so wait, it's the Westerly is the poor one or the other than just the fact that we had a lot of four planets to deal with.
Moons. One planet, three moons.
This is why it's confusing.
This is why I'm in charge. Continue.
Other than that, it was just smooth sailing, great, it was fantastic. And it was a great explosive finale.
Explosive, sad. It was very sad and solemn as it's ending, and
it was just so good, guys. It was amazing.
So some of our predictions didn't happen in the ways we predicted them, but they still kind of happened.
Yeah. So I first off want to say I hate that you're right at some things. I absolutely hated. And maybe it's just me, and it's because you were right. I was as soon as they start bombing Old Town, I'm like, son of a bitch, Stephen.
What?
Because you predicted, yes, 100%.
I called that they would try to do a mass genocide of Westerlands.
And that the genetic bomb was to kill the 9. Oh, I hate you, Stephen. Good job.
I'm sorry.
Round of applause for Stephen.
Honestly, if my crazy conspiracy theories are what they write, I think that's good. I mean, I think if my head goes so out there on some things that if they're thinking that far outside the box that it actually makes sense to me, I really love the show because they do that. Because I don't sound like some crazy nut job wearing a tinfoil hat.
I sound like a crazy nut job wearing a tinfoil hat.
Even I never thought that level 6 would be a race.
That's true.
Biggest thing in this episode I saw, and I was like, this is brilliantly epic, is that level 6 is not a thing. And it's kind of interesting because I rewatched episode 9 when Klein says, I'm level 6. He's not saying, I'm a level 6 Killjoy or rank 6 or anything. He's saying...
That's what I am.
As if somebody says I'm human.
Right.
I'm level 6.
Well, I mean, I think that's... to say it's a separate race is going a little far.
It's a hybrid.
It's the Borg.
They're hybrids.
You guys know what the Borg are,
Yeah,
right?
I know what the Borg are, but we haven't... Well, we still have to see exactly what it is that they've done to these people. We know that there's some kind of genetic alteration. maybe if it's like nanites, I guess it could be the cyborg type thing.
But what he sent Colleen to send them was information on what the fluid was. And the fluid came back as being DNA. And since it's information, it's already got its information attached with it. And it came back labeling itself as level 6 DNA. It was DNA of a new species, the level 6. Holy Mother of God!
Calm down. Calm down.
Just
guys,
interrupted mid-speech.
I don't know if you can see what I see, but we have Aaron Ashmore with us.
Woo! We can't hear him yet, can we?
Hello.
Oh!
There it is.
Hi.
Hey, thanks for calling in.
No problem. How you guys doing?
We're freaking out, right? That's a fair
Good.
assumption.
Pretty fair.
Amazing after show.
Turn your volume down just a little bit, Aaron.
Yep. How's that?
Perfect.
So much better. All
Yes.
right. Okay. Let's ask Aaron then. Right? Let's ask Aaron into our discussion about level 6.
What is level 6?
That's an excellent question, and not a question that I have a specific answer to. I think that's one of the things that we all had sort of theories on potentially at the end, throughout the show and towards the end. But the real answer is that I don't know. I think it's much bigger than what we'd sort of originally thought, that level 6 Killjoys was just like a level up, a more highly skilled people. I always thought that it was going to have to do something with the nanites, and the nanites were going to be, in the bodies, maybe repairing them, so that it would like almost like a Wolverine type effect, where they would just be incredibly skilled soldiers and be able to self-repair. But I don't know. I mean, it could be bigger than that. So, in all honesty, I have no idea yet. But I'm very curious to see how it all pans out myself.
Can I ask really quickly? When you did that scene, did you know it was going to be on the computer? They just tell you, look at this screen and say, "Oh shit."
Yeah, they didn't. There was no graphic there. It was written in that like this information, Carlene's information comes in saying level 6, like it's been broken down, the information, so that there's something that you recognize there that is like, holy shit, we're next level. This is cracking it all open. But no, there was nothing there. So
Fair
I was curious to see what that graphic was myself.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Steven's really.
So you can't confirm or deny, but I really think that level 6 is a species.
We
it's
heard
a new
you.
race.
Well,
yes.
it's all semantics at that point.
Yeah.
Like, I would just say that they're another class of humans.
They're hybrid humans.
Enhanced humans.
Enhanced mutants.
We're getting into some deep nerd stuff right now.
They're the X-Men.
Get into it. I love the nerd stuff.
Oh,
Thanks for having me on, by the way, guys. I really appreciate it. I've been watching sort of from most of the episodes, and I think I've said this maybe to maybe you guys over Twitter, but it's really, really amazing to watch an after show like what you guys are doing, and see how much you guys appreciate it and get it, and are bringing more, even bigger ideas to it than necessarily we were thinking as we were doing it. It's really exciting to see, and you guys are incredibly insightful as to some of the character motivations and things that are happening in this world. So it's a pleasure to watch you guys after watching the show. It's really nice.
We're just really hoping for season 2, because really with sci-fi shows, they're so hit or miss that we didn't know what we were getting into. And when we watched it, we were like, this is awesome.
Well, I don't think that we knew either, like as the actors, and particularly the actors, especially the first few episodes were really world building and really, getting into it. And I don't think that we knew how far this show was going to go, and how sort of interesting and deep and dark into this world and the characters we were going to get. So it was a real discovery for us along the way as well too. So and a very nice surprise. Like, I think come episode 5 on, I think that the show really hits its stride and is sort of defining what it can be. So I really hope that we get to continue from where we left off, because I think it is really just sort of cracking it open, this world.
So one of the things that we all agree on, that when we started the show, we just signed on. We're like, it's bounty hunters in space. All right, that'll be fun. And then we got in, and it was something so much more. How much did you know when you first were like approached with the project or first heard about it? Like, how much did you know about what Johnny was going to be doing?
Nothing. I actually was working on a movie, and I bumped into the casting director who cast me in the movie and who was casting the show and said, hey, we're doing this new sci-fi show. Michelle Lovretta, the guys from Orphan Black, Temple Street are casting it, and it's going to be really cool. And I was, he didn't even say come in and audition for it or anything like that. He just sort of mentioned it. And a month later, I sort of got the call to go in for it, and it was one scene. It was the very beginning of the first scene of the first episode, and it was this sort of thing, I'm chained up, and there was this really cool reversal of who you thought was in control and all this stuff. And just from then, I was really excited about it. But that was it. I didn't even, I read the first 2 scripts when I tested for the show. But other than that, that was it. Like they give you very little when you're going into it. So I had no idea the journeys that the character was going to take or the story. Just very limited information, which is usually the way it goes with these shows. So again, like I was saying, I was very pleasantly surprised with the way things turned out.
With each episode, how far in advance do you get the script and get to know what's happening? Because every episode gives us such a new mystery that, we want to know what's happening next. When do you find out the answers?
Usually they were giving us the scripts probably about a week in advance. So we had lots of time to sort of, well, maybe not always, but definitely not like the day before we started shooting. We definitely had a little bit of time to sort of process things. But when you're doing TV, it's so fast. Like we shoot these episodes in 8 days, which it's not a lot of time when you're talking about effects and action and all this stuff. So you're getting the next one and you're flipping through it really fast. Like, oh, cool, that's a great beat. Oh, cool. But then you have to drop it and go back to the one that you're shooting. So you really don't get to process the next story till you're almost in it. But I think in a way that's kind of exciting because you're sort of living it as the characters are. They're not prepared. They're getting thrown into all this stuff, and that's sort of the beauty of doing TV. I mean, it can be a detriment too, but I think it is pretty exciting to sort of just be figuring it out as the characters would be figuring it out.
Yeah.
Is your brother really called to Avon?
Yes, he is. No, it's Davin.
I told you guys, jerks.
Then don't spell it with an
Love how
apostrophe.
committed you are to Avon because you never really broke that. So I appreciate that. Stick with it regardless. It does have a awkward ring to it.
So one question that throughout watching this season and even in the final episode is with John Jacobi, he has this latent ability for finding girls that he has chemistry with and then leaving them to either die or be sequestered away for the rest of their life.
I know. This is one of the things when Michelle, if we get a season 2, I'm going to say to Michelle, like, they blow themselves up or die or something, all these poor women. Can Johnny just get a little action?
Well, you got the sex worker, but was that the same sex worker that was left in the bar at the end?
No, that was a very different sex worker at the end.
Well, actually, I think in the first episode, Johnny did sort of take off with her at the very end. Like there was she kind of came and dragged
that's right.
him away. So yes, that was her. And then she got blown up potentially. So there's definitely a running theme here. If you have any sort of relations with Johnny Jacobi, your life is soon to be over, apparently.
Lucy's got to watch herself.
Well, sweet Lucy. No, we could. I don't think they could ever get rid of Lucy.
Yeah, I'm worried about the ship now. The ship's gonna blow up.
Well, I think there's something else there. There's been no physical attract. Well, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Lucy. I'm actually that was one of the things that when I first talked to Michelle, because there was this sort of interesting dynamic between the two, between Lucy and Johnny, that wasn't really there with the other characters, and I was like, so what's the deal here? Like, is there going to be some weird romance between the ship and John? And I was like, I saw her, and I thought that was have you guys seen that movie?
That's the one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you guys know the one with the phone.
That was
Scarlett Johansson in the phone.
Between a computer and a man, an artificial intelligence. So I was like, I don't know, maybe that's where they're going to go, but we'll see. We'll see how that unfolds. I think that they're very fond of each other, and I think the idea of maybe Lucy, being turned into some sort of physical format at some point or whatever, and then that interaction could be kind of interesting.
That is a prediction I've made, and I want it to happen more than anything.
Yeah. They did that. They did that in Mass Effect. So if you're a fan of Mass Effect, you ever get to play that? They do that in the game. Literally, the captain of the ship, and they give the ship an AI in like a humanoid body.
It's a classic sci-fi theme. I mean,
it's
Doctor
really
Who
cool.
did it, Futurama did it. But it'd be amazing to see Lucy,
this-
who's already in love with Johnny.
Yeah.
On this topic, Claymore's R Us on Twitter at ClonePoster says, "Wondering when John will admit his one true love is Lucy."
Hashtag juicy, guys. Hashtag juicy.
Yes, I heard that. I really like Juicy. That's cute. I don't know. Season 2, I think we can hope for that. I have zero say over these things, but we can hope for it.
We'll start a petition.
Yes, I think that might work.
Do we have other awesome Twitter questions?
Chrissy Nortsis on the chat says, Johnny has the best damn lines. Ask him if he gets to improv any of those epic lines.
No, the writing is amazing on the show, and I think especially because it was first season, they really were sticklers for sticking to the script and sticking to the dialogue, which is not something that I'm totally used to. So you usually do get a little bit more freedom, but I think that it being season 1, they really wanted to stick to what their plan was, and I think that it worked really well. I think that the comedy was there, I think the drama was there, all that stuff. So as actors, sometimes we like to kind of go around, change the words around a little bit, but sometimes we also need to be reeled in, and I think that everything was written beautifully, and you basically just have to say the lines. Like, the comedy stuff is really, really funny and all that stuff. You basically just have to say them.
I think, wrote down lines almost every episode that were Johnny lines. This episode, my favorite line was, "Stop licking my partner."
Well, perfect. Why would he licked her? I mean, of course you're going to say that, right?
It was the weird. Why did he lick her?
You have to comment on that. It's a very weird thing.
Exactly. It is a strange thing. I mean, I guess it's some sort of like dominance thing, or creepy sexual dominance. I don't know, but we shut that down pretty quick. We're not down with that on Killjoys.
So when you go to the Force Awakens premiere in December, you're not going to cut your ear off with a lightsaber, are you?
No, I've already decided not to do that. I don't want to steal the thunder from that. I'll just let them do their thing. I don't want to be like bleeding all over the red carpet or something. That would be a little bit awkward.
Jenny at Jenny for Life on Twitter says, "What's your favorite scene of the first season of Killjoys?"
The sex scene. I'm answering for you.
It didn't even go there, though. Johnny had to talk his way out of that.
He likes to talk. It's cute.
What is my favorite scene? I really liked some of the scenes between, most of the sort of really character stuff between Dutch and John that really showed their relationship. I think that those were my favorite. There's a scene at the end of the third episode where they sort of have a bit of a heart-to-heart, and also in episode 9 where they sort of talk back to how they originally met and all that stuff. And those scenes, to me, I just really enjoyed them. I think that they were really grounded in the characters, and it just showed these two, very damaged in different ways, interesting characters sort of interacting and showing how much they care for each other. So I think that those are just really well written and sort of interesting to play. So yeah, I'd say some of those scenes were my favorite.
And you and Hannah have this like amazing chemistry together, this great like brother sister. I mean, Johnny points it out so well. Did you guys hang out and like bond?
Totally, yeah. I mean, I think that all three of us, Luke, Hannah, and myself, got along right off the bat. And you never know. I've worked with people before where you don't sort of click, and it's not like they're bad people or they're a jerk or anything like that, but you just don't really have that chemistry. You don't really get along in that way. And fortunately, we totally got along. We did a bunch of fight training together, the three of us at the beginning. We also worked out with a personal trainer all together to get in shape for the show. They wanted us to be as in shape as possible. Obviously,
I did notice that. Yes,
Luke did okay with that, Yael.
I did notice that. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you notice that?
I did. Yeah. Everyone is in amazing, beautiful shape.
You're also a big fan of Klein, Rob Stewart.
Also Klein.
Oh, you got a Rob Stewart thing too, yeah.
I love everyone on this show.
An interesting thing about Rob Stewart
I'm
is
listening.
that he lives in the same suburb, like just down the street from where I grew up. So that's just like a bizarre thing that he was talking. He's like, I heard you grew up in Brampton, where I grew up, and I was like, yeah. And he's like, I live just down the street from where you grew up. So small world, anyway.
That's not a royal harem, is it?
Maybe his backyard may be a royal harem.
I need to go visit Canada, guys. I need to go to Canada.
Place. It's a wonderful place. I'm rambling now. I can't remember what the question was, but
I was thinking about everyone's gorgeous bodies.
Shall we do another Twitter question?
Okay. We did all this physical stuff together, working out, fight training, and I think that in a way that sort of bonds you together immediately too, doing all those activities, and also being thrown into this thing where it's like, okay, it's like you really have to make this thing work, and we're all sort of out of our element. It's brand new. You really want it to work, and I think that you bond over things like that too, of really trying to, wanting this thing to be good and working really hard to make it the best it can be. And I think we just all bonded over those things.
Yeah.
My question about filming, when they do a lot of filming in Toronto, and a lot of it's green screen. How much of this set, or how much of the show is actually built set versus green screen to really help you guys get into the scene?
Excellent question.
That is an excellent question. A lot of the stuff, like especially on Lucy and in Westerly, the bar, all that stuff, it's all real. It's all there. But outside of the cockpit, like any view outside of Lucy, when we're looking at stuff, obviously that's not there. But the majority of stuff is physically there. They did a really good job of finding these weird, bizarre locations. And the difficult thing is, they're trying to do Westerly, Leith, and Creche, and they all have to do it in Toronto, right? Like, so they did an amazing job of finding these different locations to be able to, double for all these places. So a lot of it is physically really there. There is definitely some effects and stuff, but I've done enough sci-fi and genre work that you just get used to it. It's on the page. You say, yeah, the spaceship's going to fly over here, or you're going to be docked here looking out at this, and you just kind of use your imagination.
What was the Bull computer? Was that real, or was that CGI?
You're so obsessed with that Bull computer.
The computer was a bowl with some sort of liquid in it, maybe a little bit thicker than water, dyed black, and then they had this really crazy sort of speaker system, but very low vibration, so you couldn't really hear it. That would make it vibrate all over the place.
Yes, Stephen's getting really excited because that was he said that's how it was made. Good job, Stephen. Good job, Stephen.
You are correct, sir.
Can we put that on loop?
It was kind of neat.
I have a Lost Girl question.
Fire away.
I love Lost Girl. Stop it, guys. So Lost Girl final season hasn't aired here yet in the U.S. So then, any chance you come back?
No, I wish. I actually really enjoyed working on that show, and I loved. Basically, all my stuff was with Ksenia, and she's just fantastic, so funny and really cool, and I really like the dynamic between those two characters. So I would have loved to come back, but unfortunately, no.
Well, the Lost Girl fans
spoilers, I guess, or yeah.
Thank you. I just needed to ask. I wasn't going to miss this opportunity, guys. Stop judging me.
I wish I could say yes.
Oh, Lost Girl. Do we have another?
Yes, great.
We gotta. Surprisingly, Aaron, a lot of the Twitter questions are about your sex life.
Twitter questions?
So I'll go ahead. I'll say it.
Like Aaron or Johnny?
About Johnny. Yeah, sorry.
I have Aaron question.
Get awkward.
David F. Baldwin 1 says it's the best new show on Syfy, and he says if and when, which is honestly when we get season 2. So you think John will be able to take his aggression out in the bedroom?
Yes. I think that would be a healthy place to exercise that.
Well, your character ends off, and let's go ahead and talk about it a little bit. The character of John Jacoby leaves off with him. He's sick of being the one that everyone's counting on. You're in that bar. You have that bar scene where you just shoot 3 guys in the head within 3 seconds and then have a drink because, it's your Clint Eastwood scene.
Yeah.
And then we leave off with your one contact with Colleen is dead and you're getting this new information. Are we going to see a lot darker version of John Jacoby in season 2?
I would love that, to be honest with you, to really go down a dark path but I don't know. I think it would be interesting because I think that John, we've seen what a good guy he is, how grounded he is, how compassionate he is, and I don't think that I would want to lose those elements to him. But if he's forced to sort of really explore that darker side or really go down a darker side, I think it would be really cool to see. I think that transformation and how potentially dangerous that could be, it could be kind of scary to watch, somebody sort of change in that way. I guess when we were doing the show, it was sort of like one of the writers said that John was a little bit more like Luke and Dav was a little bit more like Han. So maybe John gets a little bit like badass, like he taps into his Jedi, he really becomes more dangerous and more sort of skilled in a way. He focuses his anger or something. I don't know, who knows, but I would definitely like to play a little darker version of him without losing some of the elements that make him him.
I would love to see what a dark version of Engineer Johnny could whip up on the ship. Just some crazy weapons of mass destruction that Lucy can fire out.
Dangerous stuff. Yeah, Fancy and John team up to make some of the most badass gear in the quad. That'd be pretty badass.
Well, Fancy's not in any position to do that right now.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
Davin's
running away from Fancy. He looks like he may be getting pretty dangerous.
So Klein has plans for Davin. They're obviously making this brother relationship very strained and hard to deal with. One of the things this show's very good with is it doesn't kill characters. It doesn't try to kill characters to get a story point across. It just keeps them going and makes you wonder if they're going to come back. So one of the characters that we actually haven't met that we're familiar with is your father in the show, as well as your mother. The mother, in fact, is dead at this point. We're led to believe.
We were told that she was dead. We don't believe it.
If you don't see a body, they're not dead.
Did they give you?
I haven't seen a body yet. So
did they give you any background on your mother or father when creating this character?
Not a ton. I mean, they said that we had a very, very difficult childhood. Luke and I sort of talked about that our father was probably abusive, and Luke had a really interesting thing that that maybe he took the brunt of the abuse because I was younger and stuff, and that's why he eventually took off as well, is because he just couldn't take it anymore. He getting beat up or taking all that brunt. So we'd sort of discussed a little bit of that, but nothing in detail. No, just that it was not a good childhood for either of us. And the interesting thing about that is that we did sort of discuss is that these two guys went in two very different directions and became very different people, but coming from the same place. And I think that's really an interesting thing too, of how Johnny became the caretaker and the compassionate one. Probably even though his parents were abusive and stuff, he still took care of them when they needed to be, because he was that's the situation he was forced into. Nobody else was there to do that. Whereas Dav, that all turned to real anger, and he rebelled and took off and whatever. So I don't know. I think it's really interesting if we got to see some flashbacks or got to delve into that a little bit more. I hope we get to.
Do you know about season 2?
I know nothing.
Nothing? Word on the street?
To be honest, the only thing that I'd heard was that they were going to wait until all the episodes had aired to sort of crunch the numbers, and because at the end of the day, as much as this is more than that to us, obviously the people that watch it and the ones that are making it, it's a business. So it's not the entertainment business. They don't call it that for nothing. So I think that they have to figure out, is this something that we want to push? Are the numbers there to keep it going? I really hope that it is. I'm hoping to hear something in the next couple of weeks, to be honest with you. That's just not because anybody's told me that, but I just sort of think, all the numbers are there, and I just really hope that they make a decision soon.
Yeah, it's an even more complicated situation because this show, as opposed to some others on Syfy, is a co-venture, so it's not 100% up to the Syfy network.
No, it's Space Channel in Canada and Syfy network. So it could be one of the things that one of them wants to drop it and the other one wants to pick it up, and maybe that's what happens. Or maybe who knows how it will play out. I think that our numbers are really, really comparable to the other shows that we were airing with Defiance and Dark Matter. Like, it's not like anybody was blowing the other ones out of the water in any sort of way. We were very comparable. So I think if they like the way that those shows work together, I think that we could very easily get a second season. And I particularly think that our storytelling and pacing and character development is incredible. So I can't see them not doing it, because I want to do it so badly, but it's so hard to tell.
What can we as the fans do aside from hashtag renew Killjoys?
Yeah, well, that's the only thing that I can think of. I think that, you know, everybody's sort of done it, like talking about it, like a show like you guys are doing on AfterBuzz is amazing to get people talking about it and aware of it. I think people, you know, at this point we've already aired, and I think that at the end of the day that those are the numbers. But again, talking about it on Twitter, stuff like this, just putting the awareness out there, I think that really helps.
I got to give a shout out to Hank09.
Yeah,
he does the writings for Killjoys Fanatics, I think is
the TV Fanatic.
Yeah, TV Fanatics. Yeah. And he tweeted it to tell Aaron fans definitely want to see John's first meeting with Dutch, and would that be tough to shoot? And we did see a little bit of Dutch's flashbacks in this, but did the writers even think of adding some flashbacks to your character and to Avin's character?
Oh, to Avin.
It's not his name.
It is. That's how it's spelled.
It's not his name.
Don't get me started on the terrorist woman.
Flashbacks for John. I mean, maybe in the second season. I really think that this season was so, you know, 10 episodes is not a lot of time to tell a story, and I think that focusing on Dutch, obviously, and Davin coming in and sort of having to explain who this guy is, yeah, John's sort of backstory was not as focused on. So I think maybe in season 2 that would be, hopefully they will do that a little bit more, show some more flashbacks for us, like even our relationship and stuff, even as kids and stuff, to really set that up a little bit more would be really, really cool. So I don't know, I would love to see some flashback stuff, and a flashback scene to John and Dutch meeting would be amazing, just because it's so, you know, just talking about it, like a bloody wedding dress, and you know, them maybe having guns at each other, and it seems so kind of fun and exciting. So that'd be incredible to see.
Would you want to play the younger version of yourself?
No. Well, I don't know. I mean, it just depends. Like, if it's only like 5 years or something like that, that we've been together, like, or I don't know exactly the amount of time, like, maybe I could pull it off. But if it was just like ridiculous, where it's just like, well, that's just Aaron from now doing it, I think it'd be cooler to actually maybe see like a younger version of that stuff.
They just
like
shave the beard and it's like, he's 12.
Well, like 12, right?
I have one comment and one question. My comment is, after seeing in the robes of the roots growing people, the whatever you want to call them, the monks, I feel like you should be the cast for the reboot of Dune when they do Dune. Okay. And the question that I have was...
And I have a monk's question.
You have a monk's question?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
We usually see the monks, you know, with a hood and no shirt. Yet when you three were in monk's robes, what was with the clothing?
I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was totally just for practicality. When we shot those scenes, it was the very end of November, and where we were shooting looks like it's underground, but it's actually a huge abandoned warehouse, and it was freezing cold, like below zero. Well, I don't know what it was in Fahrenheit, but very, very cold. Like, it was cold enough to snow outside. So when we were doing that, I was like, guys, are we going to be like nipples out in this thing for like because it was quite a few, like a day and a half or something we were going to be down there. Like, no, it's going to be too cold. We're gonna cover you guys up.
No
so
excuse.
It's totally logistical.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, sorry, Yael. Maybe next.
Yeah, film in the summer, please. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, we'll try.
The question I had is, have you worked with Tom Allison before? Because you two's characters just had such good riffing ability off of each other.
No, I'd never, I'd never met Tom before. I'd heard really, really good things about him, and he's sort of a very well-known theater, and particularly a singer up here. Like, he's got a really, really great reputation. So I'd heard his name, I'd heard people talking about it, but I'd never met him. So it was really, really fun. And I mean, I think he plays that sort of classic bartender, with the wisdom and a way of looking at things that nobody else does, really, really interestingly. And yeah, I think the characters just, again, you never know who you're going to have chemistry with. And the writing was there, and when you get two people together that enjoy each other's company, then boom, there you go. There's an ease there, and it's fun. So,
yeah. Speaking of Tom, when we see the everyone on Lucy leaving Old Town, we hear them speaking another language, and I think it's the first time all season that we heard another language.
Yeah, well, we do sort of say say things like also. His name's Frank. Hills.
Hills says campanine, and he does a toast.
Yeah, that means fuck the company, basically.
Oh,
so,
yeah. That's what
pretty
language?
much what I figured, yeah.
Well, in mining,
Westerland.
so like the Westerlands, again, like we didn't really get into this too much. It was sort of, they just peppered it in there, I think, just for sort of interest's sake. But most of Westerland, the people there are miners. So it's sort of like a mining dialect, almost, like the kind of really rough around the edges, like in the mines, like that's what they would speak. Mm-hmm. So again, we never really delved into it too much, but there's a couple times throughout the show where they just throw that in, but it's very, very subtle. I think maybe Bellish might use it a little bit within one of the first couple episodes, I think. Mm-hmm. Nora's character did. So yeah, it's just it's like a very Westerland sort of working class language
I want
that we
more
didn't really
of that.
explore too much.
I want more of that next season.
Well, it's cool. I think that touches on like a really cool thing about Westerly in that it is this lower class society, but it's an entire world. And like this episode, we met the Rat King and his people, which I thought was fascinating. I loved in that scene the set design. I don't know.
It's beautiful, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed the wires and the poles that were hanging up. They form trees throughout the base as they're talking about like and the roots grew and all this stuff, and they're surrounded by basically fake trees.
I just found it really interesting with those characters and him and his daughter, where his sister, where John Jacobi's character proves themselves by saying the prayer to the sister and says you need to really get her to a doctor while the world is falling apart. And then we get that scene of him walking with his sister just through a bomb, through the firestorm, as they're obviously not going to make it through the night. It was kind of just a really powerful scene where they make you care about these characters, and then let's dramatically have them walk through a song that makes you really sad, like one of those Sarah McLachlan dog commercials as we bomb people.
Just a tearjerker.
Seriously.
Like, I would not have thought, like, halfway through this episode, the Rat King was going to be the most emotional point in this episode for me.
I was almost at tears watching Pri say goodbye to the bar.
Yeah, well, that's his baby. I mean, and in a lot of ways, that set was incredible. Like, when we first walked, that was one of the sets that was completed first, and when I walked in there, and they said, oh, yeah, this is where you guys will be spending a lot of time, I just thought, this is incredible. Like, this is sweet. And it's sort of our home base. And so for Pri, that's his baby, and that's where he lived, that's where he worked, and having to say goodbye to it is tough. So, and even us, like at the end, I was like, so what's going to happen if we come back? Or is Westerly just blown to hell, and like this, we'll never come back here again? We'll never see this set again. We'll never be back in this bar. It's kind of sad, you know?
So, talking about the bar, though, when you read the script for the Black Rain episode and you saw that they were going to put people out in that to execute them, what were your first thoughts?
That's true.
I thought it was really cool, the idea of it, because it's just so barbaric, and I think that it just made sense that, like, you know, there's this uprising that's sort of bubbling under the surface. Well, here's like such a barbaric, brutal thing that is just every day here. Like, this is just the way that they do things. I mean, I think it just was a really interesting way to put a point on that. But when I saw the actual effects, because it was in stages, right? Like first they were human beings, and then they were kind of worn down a little bit, and then they were skeletons, and then they were just goo. It was disgusting to see, like clumps of hair hanging off the stuff. It was brutal. So I was slightly disturbed, but I think that it really made a point.
Yeah, we said the same thing, but with grosser words. It was disgusting.
No, if there's anything to be said for the series, it takes sci-fi and it innovates in new ways that I haven't thought of. When you had to shoot your brother to keep the nanites, disintegrating him to focus on healing him instead.
Yeah.
That whole thing with the smoke. Every kind of episode had a new gimmick that I hadn't seen before in a sci-fi show that I was really appreciative of.
This show is absolutely amazing.
I think they did a fantastic job of, just really pacing it out in an interesting way. And every episode I was excited by what we had to do. I never looked at one episode and was like, oh, this sucks or this is boring. It was always intriguing, either the sort of missions that we had to go on or the story stuff and the character things that were sort of being unveiled. And it's a real treat because it's not always like that. It's really not always like that. So it's just a treat to get to work on something that's just so fun.
It's awesome.
Unfortunately, we have to start talking about the finale. We're never going to get through this.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Aaron, for joining us. We appreciate it so much. We love having you. Why don't you let people know, those who aren't already following you on Twitter because they're lame, why don't you tell them where they can follow you?
You can follow me at Aaron R. Ashmore. And I'm on Instagram too, but I can't remember my Instagram handle right now. But it's something about Aaron Ashmore. So if you search it, I'm sure you'll find me on there.
Yeah, guys, search.
And you're going to come back for season 2 when we do the after show, right?
I would love to. Nothing would make me happier.
And you're going to come to town to be here.
You guys are in LA?
Yes.
Eventually, I'll be in LA. I spend most of my time up in Toronto. It's kind of home base, but a couple times a year I come down there. So I'll look you guys up. We'll have a hang.
Yeah, we'll get drinks.
Do you have any other movies or shows coming up? I know you said you were shooting something.
Zach, thank you. Yeah, that's good. I did a fairly supporting role in a movie called Regression. Stars Ethan Hawke and Emma Watson. It's sort of like a psychological thriller, slightly cultish elements to it, and that comes out, I think, the end of August. So cool. Soon, actually. I think in the next couple days. I don't know how wide a release it'll be, but I'm sure it'll be in all the major cities. And yeah, that's about it for now. I got a couple other little things in the fire, but nothing for sure. So.
Now, I know you're married, but is Emma Watson as hot in person as she is on
screen? Inappropriate question.
Somebody mute him.
Inappropriate question. Don't answer him. Tell us about Luke.
Yeah, she's very attractive, and she was very nice. I even had a scene with her, so there you go. It was interesting.
All right. I'm sorry.
I can't. Steven's fired. Thank you, Aaron, so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Again, thank you so much for supporting the show and showing so much interest, because it is nice for us to know that people are really enjoying it and into it. It's a great feeling. So thank you for your guys' interest and hard work.
Aw, thanks. Woo. All right, bye.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Aaron.
Bye.
For everyone at home, I want to take a moment to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Because of you, we had this opportunity. It's because of you guys, because of the fans, because of the people who watch our show. And we do this for free. We give it to you for free. We do this because we love you, and we ask you to do a very simple thing. Go to iTunes, hit subscribe. That way you know when new episodes are out next season, because that's right, we're going to be back next season. And leave us a comment and a rating and a review. If you like our show, that's a 5-star. If you don't like our show, that's 4 stars. The other stars, I promise, don't work. They haven't worked all season, and you shouldn't have touched them.
They really haven't worked, yeah.
All right. Steven, read us some reviews.
We got 3 reviews in the past last week,
Yay!
which is awesome. International Girl says, now you're rocking. She says, good job in the last several episodes. Fewer random predictions. Sorry.
Yes,
and much
Steven.
more of the thoughtful analysis. Hope to see you next season. Of course, hope to see Killjoys next season. This is one of the most tightly written shows around right now, with nothing shown or nothing spoken being wasted. Awesome finale. Going to miss you guys from Lana Vis. Thank you so much, Lana Vis.
Thanks, Lana Vis.
So Red 17 is the place where level 6 agents are mazed. When Avon was looking up at the end of and saw the Quad Moon's planet, he was on Arkin, which was never shown before, and the team was in space. Is Arkin a Death Star type moon or planet-sized vessel that travels the J and uses level 6 agents instead of planet-destroying lasers?
We'll talk about that.
The Titanic parallels during the bombing of Westerly were right in the feels. I am laughing at how Klein is basically one of those PTA moms who believe that their kids are the best and that no one deserves them.
Yes!
Your after show makes watching Killjoys an even better experience than it is already. I would pay for a blood blessing to have you guys back for a second season after show. P.S. Is Siena or Dia a better ship name for Delcia, Kendry, and Dutch Yelena?
Oh, nice. Yeah.
First, blood
blessing.
Blood blessings. Do not try at home.
And we're not going to give that to you.
I mean, if you pay, you said you would pay for one, so.
Steven's not going to do
All
that.
right, so Yael is level 6 by A.M. May says, my favorite sci-fi show of the summer. Recap by my favorite AfterBuzz host. This show is amazing. And extras insights given on this show are a must listen.
Let's be honest, I'm nowhere qualified to be a level 6, but I appreciate the idea.
I mean, I've tried to stab Yael, and it doesn't do anything. She survives.
That's true. And that means I can get with Klein. Anyway, so let's talk about stop judging me. Let's talk about the big reveals at the end. All right. So Dutch leaves her message for Davin on loop. We're never giving up. I will find you. Oh, romantic.
I will find you.
It's like a 28th century message in a bottle.
It's like she's trying to do the Taken monologue, but she forgot most of it.
That's funny. I was thinking it's gonna just continue to go. It's gonna be on loop, and so as soon as he, turns on his comm, he'll be able to hear it. And I think that's gonna play into a someone's after me sort of thing, because they're gonna mess with his mind. That's my thought.
So what's the dude's name who got stabbed to the chest in the back by Klein? Taryn. So Taryn last episode had mentioned that she's marked for Red 17.
Right.
And Klein obviously now took Davin to Red 17, where we see Fancy, who is obviously also marked for Red 17.
Probably after he killed that dude, just straight up.
Yeah. I think that I agree.
They saw that, they're like, get that guy.
Yeah, I mean,
fancy.
So here's what we learned from Bellish this episode, right? She says that she has heard rumors about level 6, that it is a rumored thing, and that the rumors she hears is that they're gene spliced and hybrids and all sorts of things like that. Which then we discover, right, when Davin wakes up and he is next to Fancy, it looks like they're doing these genetic testings and whatever, and he comes out, he is part of in Red 17, which is on Arkin. Now, to answer the questions that we had in the iTunes, I don't think Arkin is a movable thing. I think it's a moon, right? And we learned earlier from Alvis that they tried to terraform it and it failed. And now when they terraformed Westerly, they were more careful.
So there's two theories that you could come out of that. They said they failed, but really they were just putting a military base there.
Okay. The
second theory is they tried to terraform it, but it was already occupied by whatever level 6 is.
So I think they did, because we see that that Red 17 is in the crater.
I think they tried to terraform Arkin. But they found something within the moon. Some kind of chemical or
nanites
radioactive
or whatever.
No, I'm saying there's something, atom, not nanites, because that's a machine,
but a genetic thing.
Some element, some unknown element that they could then use to enhance humans by doing that. And so they, in order to keep everyone away from Arkin, they spread this fake story about failing to terraform Arkin,
and that knowing it's uninhabitable.
Yeah, and that's the perfect place,
right,
since it's uninhabitable, to plant a military base.
Yes.
Plus the reason for that, if you look in that crater, there's that green glow, and I think that's whatever that element is,
which matches the liquid in the bowl.
I'll say something to that. I Am Banana says, what if Davin becomes level 6 in season 2? I think that's kind of what they were going for.
Yeah, that's pretty clear.
Henry Otero says, did you notice the green plasma in the crater? I don't think that was plasma or something flowing. I think that is a computer. I think, if anything, there's I'm going to go back to Halo. One of the theories behind Halo is that they found Forerunner technology on Earth, and it catapulted their technology forward. Mm-hmm. So we're thinking we're 1,000 years behind these kind of computers, and let's say they go to this, imagine a Death Star that's so old that it's already covered in rock and it's already just secreted behind in a planet. Let's say they found an old ship that is just looks like a planet. Maybe it's like a Death Star. And for the past, once they terraformed it, they found it and they've been experimenting on it and researching it since they found it. And the whole planet's alive. And that green thing was basically the planet's lifeblood. Like, it's literally a computer.
Right.
Because what it looks like is, it looks like the crater revealed that underneath the crust of the planet is a complete computer. It didn't look like a city. It looked like the entire planet was a circuit.
I see.
That's interesting. You're right. It did have a sort of circuit feel.
But so did the liquid.
Yeah.
I feel like the
it's a
liquid came
liquid.
from them
I think-
researching that.
I think that the computer aspect of it is a liquid. I think it's a different type. It's something that we don't understand because we're used to chips and
it's an organic computer,
Yes.
and I think that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that's what they found under there is something that's next level. Like, it's a combination of organic, and then we can bend it into being a computer.
So we have Red 17 is, I believe, the facility, right, where they transform Killjoys into level 6.
Yeah, I will say that, like, if they wanted us to be surprised at that, I was not.
Well, we talked about this a little bit earlier. It's
Yeah.
because of Bellish. If she had not said that the rumors of this, genetic testing and gene splicing, then it would not have crossed my mind.
This is a sci-fi sort of just a trope, if you will, like that I get kind of annoyed by. And although everything else in the episode was like fantastic, this was one thing that just like it irked me, because it's this thing where, oh, there's rumors of this like next level class or this thing that no one knows is real, and then as soon as you're like, no, we met one, they're like, oh, well, it's this, and this. And she didn't, as far as we can see, she got everything on the nose. Like, she knew exactly what it was.
They're taken without choice.
If she had thrown in some, like, and they're totally space tigers.
Right.
And, like, then there's, like, there's crazy rumors built into what's true.
Right. I think the problem was, she said, there are you're forced into level 6. It's not a choice. People disappear and are told that they're either reassigned or died. There's gene splicing. These are all the rumors. And then we see it happen to Davin. And Fancy.
I don't have a problem with it, just because they showed us in the final episode that the level 6s are more common than we think.
Yeah.
The 9 obviously has another level 6, and we thought they were going to be maybe one per solar system or quadrant.
Right.
But then we have Arkin where they're making them. So obviously there's more than just one. So all it takes is one person escaping from one after having shot it and it being fine to spread a rumor about what they are.
That's true. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's reasonable that she has heard what is the right thing.
Yeah.
But because this is secretive, and if those rumors are out there, these are very good spies. They've been established as a very good secret organization. They would also spill out false rumors in order to cover their tracks.
Exaggerations over the years.
Yeah.
They're gene spliced. Yeah, they're green and have tails.
But her rumors were exactly on the nose.
Yeah. I agree. I think it was a little...
But I think that there's some really interesting stuff because we were predicting we're going to leave the quad, we're going to blow up the quad and be somewhere else, but we're not. We're sticking around, and bringing Arkin into it is a cool way to do that.
But also, I just want to point out, so the bombing was of Old Town. It wasn't of the entire moon of Westerly.
Yeah.
We've only seen in Westerly the Badlands, Old Town, at West Hole, which is the prison, where they dock. We only see, I want to say, like, a continent of this moon. If you think of the moon, because we're living on the moons like planets, then there's a whole rest of the planet.
Yeah, there's a lot more to explore.
I still think that all the Jenners, the seventh Jenners, were in Old Town. I think that's
where everyone lives.
I think that they were trying to kill all of the people in the church. So obviously they were trying to pin it on the church so they could bomb Old Town.
So let me really quickly just clarify the entire political thing so that we're all on the same page, because I got confused and had to write it down a few times. So Saya Kendry used our genetic bomb to kill off the people in the 9 who were not allies, and the bombers were sent to Old Town because the resistance was blamed for that political assassination. They were blamed because they say that it's a retaliation for Alvis's punishment, and therefore they're canceling the 7th generation agreement and bombing Old Town.
I think Old Town is the major population point of this planet. I don't think there's very much else.
I think there probably are other settlements. I think you're right. Old Town is the big one.
Well, we saw the other settlements when we first met Rio.
But I feel like they wouldn't need to bomb them. They could just go in and execute everybody.
I mean, also that area, no, it's not worth bombing because all those people are scavengers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think we can take this as a genocide of the Seventh Geners.
Yeah, well, just with... Oh, sorry, did you have something else on that?
No.
Something else just that this sort of... That feeds into what we were talking about with Arkin and, like, the potential of, like, a Forerunners type deal. They dropped very subtly the seed of an idea in this episode.
Yes.
With the speech from
the prayer.
The prayer, because they talk about, I don't know if they've said this before, but this is the first time I noticed it.
I think
a seed from a world long forgotten, or a long forgotten world, whatever it was that they said. And that makes me think that this may be like, these may be like Earth humans. A lot of sci-fi shows are just like an alternate galaxy, like Star Wars. It has nothing to do with Earth. It's just like people in another galaxy. But that, and sort of to me, it just immediately implies that these people sprung from, that the seed was carried from Earth, and this is like one colony of many that have sort of sprung up. And like what we were discussing last week, Stephen brought up the idea that they sort of just like, it's impossible to control all of them, so they had to so they became like, the company was able to take control, and it's sort of Battlestar Galactica-esque.
I think the religion that we have with the monks, I think it is very clearly with their prayer about the seed and the tree and the roots, and it carried us, and the mother tree, which could be referred to as Mother
and
Earth,
and
the roots grew, which is, you know, that they expand, and the idea that when you die you will become part of the roots and will carry you home. I think it's very easy to make this parallel that they are Earth humans.
Question real quick.
Yeah.
When Sia used the DNA device...
When Saya Kendry...
When Saya Kendry used the DNA bomb...
I believe Saya is like princess.
She, was that more than one family there?
Yes.
I thought so, right?
It was the families that aren't the allies. As she pointed out to us, the one in the gray and the blue, those are our allies. The one in the red, I don't care what happens to. The ones she said aren't allies are dead.
So she effectively eliminated half of the 9, most likely.
Yeah, it's not like people were saying like, oh, it's the 8 now. No, it's like the 4.
Yeah.
I love how she just sets it off with her foot without even giving a damn. She's like, oh, whoops.
I have to do it all myself.
She was nuts. Like, that seemed like a big change for that character, right?
I thought the same thing, but the fact that Johnny goes, is she drunk, made me realize, like, okay, so we're seeing that something's off, that something's different.
Yeah. The show knows she's off.
Yeah. Because she was never that.
I think she was just excited. I think that basically I think that's what it comes down to, is like, she was just giddy because she's like, I'm gonna kill all these people and take over control.
If you kill 4 of the families out of the 9, she's already got voting power for 2 of them.
Right.
She becomes by far
Majority
the most powerful person. Because even if it's down to 5 families, because I don't know exactly how many people got killed.
Right.
Even if it's down to 5, 2 votes means all she needs is 1 ally to control it.
And the only people alive still are allies.
Yeah.
The other thing, if you notice, Saya Sims, Potter's mother, lived because she is an ally. So I think that that whole story, and Potter also we saw lived in the bunker. She decided to go...
But before a forlorn goodbye to John Jacoby, before she's secluded away forever after being a love interest, hypothetically.
If only she hadn't, like, hooked up with his brother. Not that they couldn't get together after that, but it's like, it feels weird because she hooked up with Davin so early on.
I disagree. I think there's lots of encouragement for hooking up with both Davin and Johnny.
Yep.
Jotter?
That's awful.
No, it's Jotter.
Otter, because it includes Davin. Okay.
Eiffel Tower.
No. Stephen, you're not allowed to be the dirtiest one on the panel. So we have Pre going off in the ship with some people who survive, and we have Potter staying with Alvis in the shelters. The shelters in the bunkers. Yes.
One of the coolest scenes is how Alvis gets out of prison, though.
Oh, yes.
That was... She's like, please tell me these are some poison capsules or a bomb or something. They're just prayer beads.
They're prayer beads.
Obviously not just prayer beads.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell he's smart because, one, he's a great monk, and second, he's always shirtless. That's how you know he's great. There you go. See? Dirtiest one on the panel.
Yeah, well, his balls went through more to that guy more times.
Stop! Stephen, too far. Crossing the line. I feel like there was just so much in this episode.
Okay, I want to talk about Hill, because we've kind of covered everything else.
Hills, so Hills has to decide if he's going to be on the side of the company or if he's going to be on the side of Westerly. And I didn't like him. I feel like he flip-flopped way too much this season. And I get that he's in this weird position, but he eventually makes his decision and then gives up and goes, I don't have the stomach for this anymore, and goes and gets a drink.
Goes and gets a drink. And honestly, all the soldiers there were going to probably die anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a sad scene. You have the sex worker, Johnny's ex-sex worker acquaintance, sitting there ready to die because she had relations with Johnny. You have the old couple dancing there, and you're just like, man, like, they can't go anywhere. They're just old people who are now going to die because of circumstance.
Hey, these two old people, like, live to the end of their days, and they're going to go out dancing with the person they love.
Yeah, that's
there
beautiful.
Are worse endings.
I mean, it's beautiful and sad, and then Hill's taking the drink.
And there's free booze.
And then they show the window shatter, they all fall, and then they cut back to the ship, and you see something exploding, and the thing, you're like, damn.
Yeah.
Heartless. This is 60-year Jack. I am not.
Yeah, Pri, you take that. You drink it too. I was like, oh, he's gonna take it, and then maybe when like barter or wherever they go.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
He's like, no, screw this, I'm drinking.
What about Klein? I can make this slow, or I can make this fast. Killing Colleen.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
like she just turns around. It's like, what the?
Are we to assume that Carlene was on Westerly because he gets to Davin's room so fast?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, how is he getting around faster than them?
Gotta tell you, man, I should have given Aaron more crap for this. Great hiding spot with that really expensive, valuable, and probably the most vital piece of technology that you have.
I mean, on the bright side, Carlene is researching it, and even with her dead, the computer is doing the research.
Yeah.
That said, as soon as she's talking to her computer, my thought was, oh, her and Johnny should get together, and then she turns around and is killed.
Did you notice that when he put the vial under the glass, it was black, but when he found it, it was turned green?
When Klein found it was green? I did not notice that.
Because it reacted. It either reacted, or it needs to be back to the source, or it does something.
I did not notice that.
I didn't notice that either.
Yeah, it was a green vial when Klein found it.
Well, that I noticed.
But it was green when he put it down.
No, it was black.
No, when Johnny put it down, because I watched it twice. When he puts it down, it's definitely green.
Oh, well, that means the black things turned green. So that means that all the green we saw was probably the blackness, which means, what's that planet called?
Arkin?
Arkin is probably a gigantic computer flowing with a computer.
Okay.
Seems like
Process of Stephen Elimination.
Good job, Stephen.
All right, I think that's all the time we have.
I do also. Guys, this has been an amazing season. Thank you for everyone who joined us. We really did start the show thinking, oh, Bounty Hunters in space, that'll be fun. And then every week going, oh shoot, what's gonna happen next? Oh my god, what's gonna happen next? Oh my god, this is getting better and better.
When is it gonna be Friday?
Yeah. So thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for checking out Killjoys. Don't forget to tweet #RenewKilljoys. I know that we're doing what we can, but do more. Thank you to thumbs up. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. Leave us comments. We will be around waiting for the new announcement, so make sure you follow us on Twitter, because we will definitely share the good news when it happens, when it is renewed, not if, when. Zach, why don't you tell them where they can find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, at that Zach Wilson, ThatZachWilson. Later tonight on Dominion, where we have special guest showrunner Vaughn Wilmot stopping by again, and The Strain. And this fall, a whole bunch of shows: Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Grimm with Yael.
Yeah, Grimm's coming back.
And a bunch more. Check out on Twitter for the full list.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux, STPHNLEMIUX, and check me out on Strain with Zach and Graceland on Thursdays.
Awesome. You can find me online at yael.tv. That's YAEL.tv. Also, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, a bunch of other places at Yael Tygiel. And I also have a beautiful little graphic out there with the whole schedule for the fall, so you know where to find me right here on AfterBuzz. You can find me at Yael Tygiel, YAELTYGIEL. Thanks for joining us, guys. This has been an amazing, amazing season. We'll see you next year.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
And the Roots grew.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.